guys, it's the MediaMen. I'm Keegan.
I'm Ben.
And this week was the season finale of Rebels Star Wars Twilight of the Apprentice. And this was such a great episode. I mean, I enjoyed almost every single aspect of this episode. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, same here. I thought it was the best episode since probably the first one of the season.
So you mean like yeah, so the movie like kind of before the seasonist, but this episode was great, and if you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely go check it out. But here we're going to be talking about spoilers because there's so much to talk about and there's so much content that just needs to be addressed that there isn't really a way to do that without spoilers. So we are going to be talking spoilers, but just know that this episode was great, and if you haven't seen it yet, then definitely go see it and then come back to this video and watch it.
And if you don't care about spoilers, you can still stay, but don't recommend it.
I think you'll like it regardless of spoilers or not. Getting into spoilers here now, but like we all knew that Ahsoka and Vader were going to fight. The biggest thing here that surprised me was I did think Ahsoka was gonna bite it. I was really nervous and I didn't want her to, but you know, especially when she was running up at Vader right behind him, and I was like, oh my god, he's gonna turn around and stab her. But you know, I thought for sure, there was no doubt in my mind that that was going to happen, but it didn't end up that way, and she actually got the upper hand, cut off his helmet, and revealed a piece of his eye, and freaking traumatized her. She didn't die, but you know, maybe a little bit of her morale did.
Yeah, I mean, that has to suck. I mean, I think she's known for a while now that it's him. It was him, but now that she
I think she didn't want to. Yeah, she didn't want to believe it though, even though she knew in her heart that it was him, but she didn't want to really accept it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to accept that either. Like, to me, this is so heartbreaking. I feel so bad for her. Why does Anakin gotta be such a dick?
I know. And then, I mean, when he was like kind of on the ground after his helmet had been cut, and he said Ahsoka, and you were just like, oh shit. Like, he didn't have the completely mechanical voice. He had the Anakin voice, you know, and like mixed in with like the Vader, like, I don't know. I thought it was very symbolic of how conflicted his personality still is even to this point.
So to me, that was like a little glimpse of Anakin without like betraying what Darth Vader is at this point in the story.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I just think that it was very emotional, at least for me. I thought it was super emotional, and I was just like, oh my god, I didn't want this to happen. Like she needed to know, but like a part of me just didn't want her to find out, even though obviously she had to.
I'm in complete agreement. I'm glad she knows, but I more wish that Anakin it makes me wish that he never fell in the first place even more. But I guess that's what makes him a good character, is that you're blown about it, but you also love watching Darth Vader be Darth Vader. It's funny because I like watching Darth Vader like beast other people, but like I don't like him watching him beast people that he should care about, because it's like, ugh, stop.
People that aren't in the rebellion. Or people that you don't know whom are in the rebellion. Like,
so he can slaughter rebellion people. That's fine. I mean, not like ethically or anything, but like, it's kind of cool to watch him just be awesome. But when it's like, when it's like Ahsoka, it's like, ugh, stop.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And it's just like, the thing is, he was awesome to watch beast people as Anakin in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So like, it just, I don't know, it's very heartbreaking, and that whole fight scene I thought was great, and I am glad that she didn't die. And now I'm learning that she's going to have a novel come out about the events that happened after she left the Jedi Order in the Clone Wars, and then I'm assuming it's going to be somewhat up to, you know, the point where she meets up with the crew in Rebels.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that too. I'm really happy she's getting her own novel. It's about time.
No, I completely agree.
We haven't even reached the most important part of the discussion concerning their confrontation. Anakin has an eyebrow, possibly two.
I did see that. Probably, most likely too. It would look weird if he only had one eyebrow.
Yeah. And so at first I didn't notice, then I went back and watched it and I was like, "Oh, shit, he does have an eyebrow."
Yeah.
Yeah,
There.
so which is odd because in the special edition of Return of the Jedi, the eyebrows are removed. So what that tells
Yeah, that's
me
what I thought too. He was
is that
completely hairless after, the whole volcano accident.
yeah. So what that tells me is that the non-special edition versions of the movies are what's canon, which I find
It's very,
interesting.
it's definitely possible. But I mean, if they really wanted to retcon that or whatever and do whatever they want to do, they could easily have another event where he loses his eyebrows. But I think it's super unnecessary.
I agree. I think I don't know. I don't know. I always thought the eyebrows looked really weird in Return of the Jedi, but here they kind of work. It's not really a big deal either way. Even if it was a mistake, I don't care that much.
Well, I don't think that it looked weird here because to me, I mean, I went back and watched that scene at least twice, and it almost looked just like Clone Wars Anakin, just with the fucking helmet on.
It really did. It looked more like Clone Wars Anakin than like the
disfigured, just piece of shit that he was after Episode 3.
than the hologram version.
Yeah. Actually, no. Now that you bring that up, I agree. I mean, granted, it was a hologram, so you can look a little bit different in real life than I would say you do as a hologram. But no, I do agree with you. I think it looked a little more clean cut and not so smoothed out of all the imperfections and everything. Like, you could really see that there were imperfections on his face and such.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how his eyebrows grow back, but not his hair. Not his head hair.
We don't know that, though. Maybe he could take his whole head off and he's got all his hair back. Who knows? At this
Maybe
point,
he just shaves
it's
it.
all up for grabs. Yeah. It's Krillin looking ass.
So the confrontation was really great. I wish it was more than 10 minutes of the episode. But as soon as Darth Vader came down on his TIE fighter looking like a badass, it was on. And the rest of the episode was still really, really good too.
Yeah, we should talk about, like you were about to say, we should probably talk about some of the actual main characters and not just our personal favorites. But
so
that being
Ezra
said, we love all the characters. Yeah, Ezra was great. Him and Darth Maul, their whole relationship.
Yeah. Darth Maul was great. I like that he's actually evolving a little bit as a character. I almost wish that he became as like that old master type that he was giving off when he was trying to manipulate Ezra earlier on in the episode. I kind of wish that's just how he was now, but I don't know why I would expect anything less. So what they did was great, and I really like how he's like the how Yoda was to Luke. He's kind of like the dark version of that to Ezra.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. I thought they really took his character to an interesting place, and I liked how Ezra is teetering on the dark side.
Yeah, I completely agree. The Darth Maul whole sequence I thought was great. And in episode 1, obviously, I think Darth Maul had a solid 4 lines maybe in that movie. But if that. So it just he really wasn't he wasn't fleshed out or anything. So we didn't understand him as a character, but through Clone Wars and other media and now Rebels and such, we've really got an idea of who he is, and everyone always loved his look and loved Darth Maul, and it's possible it's because he didn't have any lines, in episode 1 that people thought he was one of the greatest parts of the movie. It just really getting to see who he is as a person and why the dark side calls to him so much, I think, is a great thing that these animated series are bringing to us.
Oh yeah, I agree. I don't think he's as cool of a character anymore. I don't find him as physically imposing anymore, just because we know how much weaker he is than other dark side users, and we also know more about him. So now that we know that, the mystery is gone. That said, he's a better character than he was before. He's actually has some depth to him.
Yeah, he definitely does, and I think he does a great job with what he has, and it's like now in the eyes of the general public, not talking about the fan base, but like within the series, he's he's basically hated by everybody. He's hated by the Empire and by the Rebels, and vice versa. He hates both of them. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic because he's just an enemy to everybody.
Oh yeah, I'm very very interested to see where else they take him. I'm hoping he has some other interesting things going on.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely pop back up next season for sure. But, you know, speaking of popping up next season, we should talk about some of the actual main characters, like Ezra. I mean, we saw him, he was kind of upset at Kanan. He was like, you don't trust me or whatever in the episode. But, I mean, like, Kanan was right. He's not a good guy. He's not to be trusted. What I found surprising was Ahsoka didn't object to it as much as I figured she would.
Yeah, I think she was just trusting Ezra. I don't think she was very concerned, or maybe she was in her own little world, given what she probably felt was coming.
Yeah, that's very possible. But I think that next season, I don't know if Ezra's gonna completely go dark or not. It's still a mystery to me, which I like. I can't figure out whether or not he's going to completely switch over or he's just going to fight with it all season and prevail on the light side.
Well, he's gone dark enough to open a Sith holocron, which is pretty dark. Yes. Or at least he's able to tap into that passion or whatever. I think I don't want to say he's going to be... I don't think he's going to turn into a straight-up bad guy, but I think he's going to make a lot of questionable decisions. And that's going to cause some friction between him and Kanan and possibly the rest of the group.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of Kanan, he's blind now.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all.
No, me either. Not even in the slightest. And I mean, granted, we don't know if he's A, permanently blind, or B, is he blind in both eyes or not, or whatever. You know, maybe he's gonna come out with a badass scar over one eye and an eye patch. That'd be pretty cool. But it looks, from the looks of it, you know, or the non-looks in Kanan's case, but he he can't see so at all, and it looks like he's permanently blind. So I wonder if he's going to just train more with the sense of just hearing and like his other senses, basically, and using the Force and stuff to feel where other people are.
Right, yeah. I think that's going to be the case. I don't know if the blind thing is going to stick, but it'd be pretty ballsy if they did.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And speaking of ballsy, they straight up murdered 3 Inquisitors in that episode.
Like really quickly, which makes me not want Inquisitors as enemies for the next season, because they're clearly very, very expendable, and I don't think we need them as enemies.
I think that's possible. I mean, for me, if you don't have Inquisitors, one of the things I love most about Star Wars is the lightsaber fights. So if you don't have Inquisitors, I feel like either, you know, you'll have to include Darth Maul and Vader much more, or you just don't get those lightsaber fights anymore. And that would be a bummer to me personally, because I love watching those fight scenes. I think they're very entertaining, and you know, who doesn't want to see a lightsaber battle, really?
But I think maybe stick to one Inquisitor, and because I don't really care about any of the Inquisitors as characters except for maybe the Grand Inquisitor, now that we know a little bit more about him. But it's still fun watching them fight with lightsabers, and he's dead now, but I don't know. Like, I'd rather see... I feel like Darth Maul might be the primary antagonist for next season.
See, I would really like that, because you would still... You wouldn't need the Inquisitors, but it's not also just like a one-off villain. Like, these Inquisitors or the Grand Inquisitor have been in the last 2 seasons, where they just, you know, they're there and kind of a nuisance for the season, but then, you know, get killed off relatively quickly in the finale. So I think the 7th sister was the one that Darth Maul just straight up, you know, threw a lightsaber at.
That was brutal.
It was brutal, and I was like, damn, I'm glad they went there, because it really engaged me. Like, I really didn't think she was gonna go out that way or that quickly or anything. But I mean, he just put a force choke on her and threw a lightsaber straight at her gut, and then
That's
obviously
awesome.
it's on Disney XD, so they don't show you any of that. But that almost freaking cut her in half. Like, it's just that's some brutal stuff there, and I really like that they did that. So it shows that they're not afraid to kill off characters who they spent any amount of time,
Yo, I do
connecting
too,
to.
and I'm glad that this was one of the more violent episodes. It felt like.
It definitely did feel that way.
Granted, if this was Clone Wars, they would have shown the lightsaber going through her, but that's fine. It's fine as is. I enjoyed it. I understand why they didn't show it. I'm hoping. So before we get into speculation for the future of the characters, was there anything in the episode that you didn't like? I can think of only one thing, and it's nothing to do with like the fight choreography, how good the episode looked, the story. You know what I'm talking about? Stupid helicopter blades. I don't understand how that works. And when it happened,
Nobody does.
I was like, really? Like, did that just happen?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. And yes, that is probably the only thing from the episode that I thought in my head, I was like, what? And then quickly I was just like, it doesn't even matter. It's whatever. It didn't affect the plot at all to me. It was just kind of a device used. But like, if you really go down into it, whether it's light or plasma or whatever those blades are made out of, there's no effing way that they're creating enough lift spinning at any speed to create any kind of lift for a person to get off the ground, nonetheless, elevate them.
Oh yeah, I agree, no doubt.
But
so the only other complaint I really have is not really a problem of the episode itself. So this episode in particular is very character driven. So they didn't do a whole lot. They didn't do as much world building as I wanted them to. Like I was really wanting to see more like Sith artifacts slash like mentions of old Sith characters. Like, it would have been a perfect time to introduce some more of the old Republic characters. That said, I get why they didn't, and I think it made for a more focused episode because they didn't get into it.
I agree. And I think that they already had, that whole episode was basically just jammed packed with character. Like, there wasn't down moments. I thought there weren't any moments that I was like, wow, I'm bored right now. They could fill this with something better. Like, everything that was in there, I thought needed to be in there.
Yeah, and I was pretty much on the edge of my seat the entire episode.
Heart pounding.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with Ahsoka, I'm so glad she didn't die. But I'm hoping she has a bigger presence in the next season.
See, I think she's going to have a smaller presence.
She wasn't in that many episodes though this season.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe the same amount, but I don't think she's going to show back up at the Rebels, for at least half the season. I think they showed her walking into that cave or, whatever temple or whatever those ruins left were. They showed her walking in there, her and Darth Vader going their separate ways and stuff. And it felt to me as if she was kind of not just walking like into that cave, but almost out of the show. And, not out of the show for good or anything. I think, by mid-season she'll come back. But I do feel like she's not going to show up definitely right away. I think she's going to have to think, and she's going to have to meditate and stuff. And because, whether or not she knew before that Anakin was Darth Vader, she got it confirmed in this episode. So she's really, I think, going to need time to think on this and question basically everything that she's known so far.
I feel like she would want to try and commune with Yoda. I mean, this is just kind of speculation, but I feel as if at this point she would attempt to seek out Obi-Wan or Yoda and talk to them about it. Because if I were in her position, that would be the first thing I would want to go do. Besides, cry in my pillow.
I agree.
Like, basically, my big brother turned into a turd.
This giant dickwad over there. But yes, even if I would love if she, tried to go to Obi-Wan or even communicate with Yoda and whatever, but I don't think that'll be shown on Rebels. I think at the very least she'll come back mid-season and said I needed to talk to some people and think and try to sort out my emotions and reality and everything. So I don't, because she's not a main character of Rebels, so I don't see them taking time away from Kanan or Hera or Ezra or Zeb or any of them to go to Ahsoka and show what she's going through at the moment. I think that could be covered, or maybe will, or whatever. It could be covered in like a novel or something to show where she kind of goes, and then when she comes back to the Rebels, because I really do feel that the story is the Rebels, and then Ahsoka crosses their path, and that's when she's shown. But when she's not crossing their path, she isn't shown.
Yeah, fair enough. Speaking of her in general, I really liked everything she had to say to Anakin. Like, I just, there was nothing else she could have said that I think would have worked. I'm surprised she didn't try and pull him back over, but I think she probably sensed that wasn't going to happen. And I like how she was like...
I was just going to say, I feel like she almost... she didn't directly try to pull him back, but like when she was standing there with him and she was like, I'm not leaving you this time. And that was kind of her way of, kind of saying sorry that she wasn't there, but also trying to give him, reason not to be Darth Vader anymore. And then, obviously he had that super badass line where he was like, then you will die. And I was like, shit, this man is gone. But I do feel like that was kind of part of her way of maybe not so much trying to pull him back, but kind of justify to herself that she didn't do the wrong thing.
I have a little theory that I feel like no one else would agree with, is I felt like Anakin was going to let her go. Because, like, whether subconsciously or on purpose or not, because I won't leave you this time. Okay, well, and if you're not going to leave, then you're going to die. So that I don't know if I'm inferring too much, but that to me felt as if, like, hey, like, run away because I'm going to kill you otherwise. Like, I don't really, like,
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Because he said, then you will die. It's not like because it made it sound like if she did leave, then she wouldn't die. So, like, and the only way she could leave is if Darth Vader let her leave.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I'm hoping we get more into the Force type stuff, because this episode just kind of illustrated to me even more so that this is like the most interesting part about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, I like Sabine, Hera, Zeb, particularly Hera. Hera's my favorite non-Force user character of the crew, like, by far. But I always felt like the crux and the centerpiece of the entire Star Wars was the Force and how those characters deal with those things.
Yeah, I agree. And I really loved the line when, Anakin was like, revenge is not the Jedi way, and then she's like, I am no Jedi. I was like, damn.
That was perfect. Love that.
There's no better line you could have said. I was like, that's perfect.
It was so great.
Yeah, I can't wait for season 3 to come out. I mean, after the episode, I was like, so there's going to be a new episode in like a month, right? That's when the next season comes out. But yeah, so, overall thoughts, I thought it was awesome. One quick thing I did want to throw in there that, really actually got me excited was there was when Darth Maul turned against Kanan and Ahsoka, there was the faint Duel of the Fates playing in the background, and I was like, oh shit, his Darth Maul theme is coming out, and that really got me excited to hear his theme come back and used in that kind of way.
Yeah, I agree. I wish they'd gone all out with it and not just teased it, but it's fine. It's fine. I was like, oh, what would have been great is the music swelled and they started doing that. Oh man, the Duel of the Fates would have been perfect for the battle between Ahsoka and Darth Vader, though.
It would have.
With all the stuff that went on with Ezra in this episode, I'm actually much more excited to see where his character goes now. Like, a lot more so than I was before. I don't know. I've been hearing a lot of discussion online, and everyone seems to think that all these characters have to die because they're not in A New Hope. I think that's it's actually a pretty
Stupid.
terrible argument. I don't see the
I
basis
agree.
for it because the logic is that, well, they're with the rebels now, they're fighting the Empire now, so therefore, if they're not in A New Hope, then they must be dead. Like, why? Well, that's not how life works. There are so many different things that could have happened between now and New Hope, which is only like not very far out. I think like 5 years out, A New Hope starts.
I don't even think it's that far. I think it's like 3 years.
I think a Rogue One is like 2 or 3 years from now. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
and
somewhere along those lines. And
yeah,
so I
either
don't
way.
see why, especially with Ahsoka learning that maybe Ahsoka goes off and tries to find a way to bring Anakin back, or maybe she's helps but understands that she's not going to be able to pull Anakin back. It's got to be Luke, or like just like Yoda and Obi-Wan both understood that, and Obi-Wan had a very personal connection to Anakin too, and he understood that he couldn't help, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't see why these characters have to die. I don't understand the logic.
I
But
agree completely. The universe is so big, so maybe they just never crossed paths. Maybe afterwards there's some turn of events where they feel defeated and they have to go live somewhere else, or they just decide to, I don't want to say give up, but just kind of go do their own thing for a while New Hope and the whole original trilogy happens. I don't understand the argument that they have to die because they weren't the original series. Maybe they just stopped being rebels. Maybe they just were like, it's not who I want to be anymore. Or maybe they passed the torch over to the new group they pass it down, and then those people are the ones that become the rebels from the original trilogy or something. So
yeah,
I just feel like the original trilogy was great, but they definitely 100%, no doubt in my mind, did not touch every single planet and every single story that happened in those years.
not to mention the original trilogy is enhanced by things like Rebels and the Clone Wars and all these books and stuff. So they didn't have any of this stuff in mind when they made those movies, but by retro they those movies are made retroactively better. The stories in them are, anyways, because we have all this new information. Speaking of new
Exactly.
information, one character that we do know survives all the way until the end is Rex.
Woo! Oh my god. I mean, I was from the moment he was introduced in this season, I was like, holy shit, Rex is gonna die.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
what I
that for
thought
sure too. I was like, he's gonna die. I don't want that, but that information just makes me so happy because I I love Rex. He's such a great character, and I really didn't want him to die. So it's really nice knowing that he's going to make it.
I agree. He's one of my, if not my favorite secondary Star Wars character. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that he's there. He's there. And for those of you who don't know, there's a scene in Return of the Jedi where they're all on Endor, and it's a guy with a white beard, and Dave Filoni has now confirmed that person to be Rex, which is just so great in every conceivable way. I love that. That makes me so happy.
Yeah,
I
and
almost brought tears to my eyes because the reason it's not just awesome because it's Rex, but it also brings connective tissue between the Clone Wars and the original series, original movies. I mean, which
yeah,
that to me that's why that's so awesome now, is because it feels more connected than it did before. They don't feel like these two separate things as much.
it definitely does. No, I completely agree. And part of me, I love knowing that Rex doesn't give up again. Like kind of when we met him first in this season, he kind of gave up. He was just kind of living life on hunting creatures and stuff and just trying to survive, but he's back fighting for a purpose and something that he truly believes in. And I like to know that he doesn't just die, or he doesn't retire again and be like, this isn't my fight anymore, because he truly believes in this cause, so he keeps going with it.
Agreed. Completely. Now, do you think Rex is going to find out that Anakin is Darth Vader, or do you think they're not even going to touch on that? I feel like he'd be pretty heartbroken too.
I think so too, but I don't think that they're going to touch on it. I would like them to, but I really don't. I don't see that fitting in anywhere. You know, like, when are they going to have time to do that? I mean, sure,
Yeah,
you could have filler episodes and stuff, but that's some pretty deep stuff that you would need a while for them to cover that. And I just don't see it happening unless Ahsoka comes back and tells, like, everybody, like, oh, it's Anakin, you know, but I don't see that happening either, so.
Yeah, we already had tons of what felt like setup episodes this season. I thought this season started off really strong and ended really strong, but I thought it kind of meandered a bit on the few episodes leading up to the finale.
Yeah, no, I agree. There were a few episodes that definitely felt out of place. They just could have been introduced somewhere earlier in the storyline. But that being said,
definitely.
I thought season 2 overall was better than season 1.
Oh yeah, I mean, Siege of Lothal in the finale alone. Oh my god, so good.
Do we count Siege of Lothal as part of season 2, or is it like season 1.5?
I'd say season 2.
All right, then there you have it. That season 2 easily takes the cake. But yeah, so I did love the end of, you know, season 2, and I thought it was great. I can't wait to see where they go, and I feel like Rebels is really starting to pick up traction, and it's really getting to where it needs to be.
Oh yeah, so I've heard some rumors that season 3 is going to be the last season of Rebels, leading into Rogue One.
Have you?
Yeah.
That would be very interesting, and I also would not like that. Unless they're going to make another animated series that I can watch and fill my time with and learn
Oh yeah,
more.
like, I'm fine if it ends and they go on to a different point in time with different characters. I'd be fine with that, but I don't want it to end if we're not going to get anything else.
Exactly. Yeah, like I love Rebels. I love seeing more of the Star Wars universe, and it's great. I love the characters that they've built and the character development that they've had with everyone, and I love expanding my knowledge of the Star Wars universe. So, yeah, if it ends and there's a new series coming out, like you said, that would be wonderful. I would be perfectly fine with that. I don't mind that. I like learning more about the universe, but you know, if it just ends and that's it, then it's like, oh no, please, more Star Wars.
You know what I'd love is maybe even a mini series of Luke's new Jedi Academy. I think
that would be great.
Something going on that
awesome.
time period. I want more Anakin. I'm really not happy that he's dead.
No,
even though
I
he's
agree.
been dead since 1983, right? Return of the Jedi. That's when that came out.
It's true, but he's a Force ghost now. He can come back whenever he wants.
Yeah, that's very, very true. So hoping we get more of that.
Yeah,
great
what we
stuff.
really need. What we need is something to fill the gap between episode 6 and episode 7, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's 30 years of time gap. That's a bigger time gap than 3 and 4.
Yeah, it is. And I understand they're not trying to touch on that too much because they don't want to spoil anything for episodes 8 and 9 when they, like, reveal things that happened in the past and such. But, like, give us something.
Yeah, I think we're going to get all that stuff probably when I said the bulk of that material once episode 9 comes out. Rebels is great. Definitely give it a watch if you haven't. If you haven't, I don't know why you're watching this video. But yeah.
Very true, and I definitely don't know why you've stuck around to this point. But closing thoughts: we love Star Wars, we love Rebels, we love Ahsoka, Kanan, Ezra, Darth Vader. You know, all the Inquisitors that are now dead. Closing thoughts, Ben. What do you have?
It was a great season. Kind of unhappy now that we have a hiatus. I'm hoping we get more. I'm really, really interested to see where Ahsoka, Ezra, and Kanan go from here. Those 3 characters specifically more than any of the other characters, especially Ahsoka. Ahsoka's my favorite character on the show, bar Darth Vader. So yeah, interested to see. That's really
awesome.
I'm just very much anticipating more.
Well, that's great. So, if you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe if you want to do that too. That would be appreciated. Comment. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you liked the episode. If not, tell us why and what's wrong with you. Or, I mean, I'm sure nothing's wrong with you, but you must have a pretty damn good reason. But, MediaMen signing off. Subscribe!